the priorities were out of alignment and they could not submit to one another and be co-laborers together in their marriage because they were crossing roles and not allowing each other to operate in their masculine and feminine energies.
Guys are designed a certain way. Mm-hmm. We're designed with certain personalities, certain characteristics, certain innate qualities. I will also say women are also designed that way.
Yeah.
And they have their own qualities and their own traits. And I cannot be you and you cannot be me.
Your blended family has a 100% chance of success when you do it God's way. We're Blended Kingdom Families, and we want to provide biblical resources to heal and restore families with a message of hope for the next generation. Welcome back to the Blended Kingdom Families podcast. We're so excited that you guys are here with us today. If you haven't already, take a moment to hit the notification and subscribe button, you guys. That way you can be notified every Monday when a podcast releases. We want you to be a part of our YouTube family, and if you listen audibly, on our audio family.
Yeah, we're going to talk about masculine and feminine energy today.
Those are big buzzwords here lately.
Well, it's not something our culture is promoting. Mm-hmm. In fact, I would say it is, our culture is very demasculating and defeminine. Mm-hmm. And what we want to talk about today, and really this comes from a lot of exposure to 20 years of counseling, 20 years of marriage counseling, and even in our own marriage and our own, family dynamics. Mm-hmm. I just see this as being one of the most prominent issues that couples face.
Yeah.
And really kind of getting down to the core of who God designed you to be, and how he designed marriage to be.
Yeah.
And when we get out of alignment, we notice that the ripple effect of problems that occur.
Yeah.
So what is this? What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
So to kind of sum it up, I'm going to try to make it really simple. Guys are designed a certain way. Mm-hmm. We're designed with certain personalities, certain characteristics, certain innate qualities. And I will also say women are also designed that way.
Yeah.
And they have their own qualities and their own traits. And I cannot be you and you cannot be me. And our one goal as a married couple is to promote the way God designed us to be.
Yeah.
So, but people struggle here.
Mm-hmm.
They struggle. And I know in blended families, we struggle mainly because those things sometimes don't align with our everyday life. It just doesn't align.
Yeah.
So I brought this to Vanessa a while ago, and my question to her was, do I bring out your feminine energy? And the first thing she says, I don't like the word energy. I was like, well, let me just make it a different way. Do I make you feel feminine?
My answer was no. Well, and I didn't really understand, like I didn't know what exactly that meant. I was like, you're going to have to explain this to me, because you were like, hey, I've been kind of like researching this thing, feminine and masculine energy. And I was like, what is this? And so, but like, to your point, like your question, do I bring that out in you? And granted, like I was a single mom. So by nature, I was very just independent, headstrong, like I'm on a mission. We gotta get these things done,
You were acting in both roles.
Oh, I had to act in both roles.
Yeah.
And being the only female in an all-male household, I think it's even a little bit more difficult. And I'm not your typical like girly girl. Like I'm rough. I'm a rough mom, and that probably comes from having all boys. But you've said this before. You're like, it's very hard for you to be feminine in an all boy house. Like I love sports. Like I'm very much in there, with our boys. And so, when you asked that question, I was like, I really didn't know how to answer it. And then you asked the question of, well, what makes you feel feminine?
Yeah.
And, the things that I love, it's really when I can be, I think I just go to my mom role, and I think of like when I really get to love on the boys and when they need those cuddles and snuggles and, I can really just love on them. And I can do that in a way that's different in the way that you love on them. I think the other thing, like as your wife, I was talking about, like, I don't like shopping. I'm not a big, like put a whole face of makeup on type of person. And, I'm just kind of not really high maintenance in that area. And so I remember telling you, like, what makes me feel feminine, we just went to the EXO marriage gala last week. And I love getting dressed up and being able to wear like a fun dress and get your hair done. Like for me, that makes me feel more feminine, and I can like just kind of like bask in my feminine energy, because I don't get to do that. I'm usually in like, tennis skirts and tennis shoes and, shuffling the boys from football here and there. And, I'm football mom.
Well, and as much as you would say, hey, this is a part of our life or a part of our even maybe personality, it's still important that I do things and you do things that promote you being a woman and promote the way that God created you. And, I will say that, women are by design nurturers, they're multipliers.
Yeah.
They are creative. They are a lot of things that even they may have been trained out of you or maybe even conditioned out of you, but in the natural flow of marriage, in the natural flow of the way God designed us, it's important that you take opportunities to recognize that about yourself.
Yeah.
And it's also important as your husband that I take those opportunities to promote those within you.
Yeah.
Because again, I cannot be you and you cannot be me. And we want to make sure that we have that marriage that reflects that. Mm-hmm. So we talk about things that you can do. And if you're one of those people that, hey, I struggle in this area, maybe you are an all-boy mom. We've seen those.
Yeah.
We have lots of friends who are. Or maybe you're in that where you don't quite know how to embrace the feminine part of your life or the role as a wife and a mom. We want to encourage you in that way. And please don't take this as you've done everything wrong or there's something wrong with you. We're just saying, hey, we want to take an opportunity to highlight things the way God created it and things that are also going to improve your marriage. So as a mom and as a wife, what do you feel and how would you encourage the audience to the actions you can take to increase your level of feminine energy or femininity?
Femininity. I think as a wife and mom, I think a lot of that comes with just being intentional with ourselves and self-care. I know that, and we recently did a YouTube live on this earlier this morning, and I talked about like what refreshes you and what renews you. For me, the other day I went and I got a facial done, and that made me feel so much better. Like I just felt refreshed.
Yeah.
What renews me is whenever I'm at a women's conference and I'm worshiping with other women or, doing a group study with other women. Those are things that like really just renew me. And so I think it's a lot of like pouring back into yourself and spending time with the Lord. I think that is a big part of kind of pulling that out, like as a mom, really stepping into that role. I'm not the best cook. Like I'm just not. And Scott,
and I'm not either.
Scott's not either. And so for a while there, like DoorDash was like our best friend. And we finally got to a point where we were like, we need to cut it out. We need to get healthy.
Yeah.
But I love like being in that role of like cooking for my family, Thanksgiving. Like I love doing that. It makes me feel, it makes me feel empowered. It makes me feel like I am taking care of my family, like, and providing for them in some way.
Yeah.
I think the other thing too is there's this part of being a boy mom where, they start coming to you for advice or if they like a girl or they think a girl is cute or, things like that. And there are certain areas in those relationships with your kids where like as a mom, I can nurture and comfort and be be a voice for them, so to speak. And so I think that naturally pulls out some of those, feminine qualities and things. When I'm looking to you as the leader of our home and fully trusting you as you're submitting to the Lord, it really allows me to naturally step into those areas. I think one thing that we see with society is where men lack to lead or provide structure or have that confidence, women will naturally step in. Like the mama bears will naturally step in. And I think we've got to be very careful of that, to be patient and allow our husbands to fully step into that role. But we see that a lot where there may be a lack, we want to step into that. And so I think we've got to be careful not to do that. But But as men do that, it will allow us as the wives and as the moms to really feel secure and grounded in our femininity energy and in that role as mom and wife.
Yeah, so many times people ask, is it the chicken or the egg? Which happens first? What increase happens first? I will say that they're both natural to increase each other. So as you as a wife and a mom, as you look at this and say, I want to be more feminine, I want to be more in that mother and wife role, it's going to naturally propel your husband to be in a more masculine role as they also pursue God and as they pursue opportunities for them to be more masculine. I don't think a lot of people in our culture has put this. They've really twisted these words. They've twisted them in ways that have made this where these are bad words, and they've taken specific clips or specific instances of misogyny, and they've said, "Oh, that's masculine." That is not masculine, and any more than a woman who takes on a masculine role makes them more feminine. That's not the case. But being able to do those things that naturally make you feel more in tune with the way God created you is going to naturally give your spouse that permission and freedom as well. And there are things that husbands can do, because we're focusing on femininity right now. There are things that husbands can do to increase that in their wives. One is give them time. Time is our most precious component. And a lot of times, busy moms, busy wives, whether you're working, you feel like you don't have the time, or you feel guilty about reserving time for you to do the things that make you feel great, like taking care of yourself, whether that's working out, getting active. I always try to make fun, but I really don't understand this whole skincare routine that women do at night. I mean, it's a lot. And there's a reason they look so beautiful, because they do take time. But encouraging that in your wife and saying, hey, listen, it's okay. Yeah. I've got the kids. I'll put them down. Encouraging them, like you said, to go to a women's conference, to have great female friends where you go to lunch or brunch, or go to that, go to dinner or go to a movie with your girlfriends, or enjoy that good couple time together.
Yeah.
Husbands, give your wife that freedom. Give them that. Also, when women are emotional creatures. Men are logical. Don't overshadow their emotions with your logic. Yeah. If they bring you an emotional problem, this is an opportunity for you to say, they are living in the way God designed them. I don't want to over-rationalize or give them such rational answers that makes them feel inferior about being emotional. That's the way God created them. Let them be that way. Open up an environment where you're saying, hey, listen, let's spend some time talking about this. Another thing, be excited about what they're excited about. A lot of women, including my own wife, loves to decorate. That is her love language. She loves it. She loves doing plants. She loves gardening. She loves creating things. That's great. I'm not much of a creator when it comes to design, as you can tell from our wardrobes. That's okay. I will say to her, hey, listen, if that makes you happy, go do it. I will, maybe reserve a comment that I don't quite understand what she's doing, and I'll say, hey, I'm excited for you. I encourage you to do that, because I want you to be in the way that God created you. And He created you to be creative.
Yeah.
And that's good.
Well, and, I know we're talking about feminine energy now, but to flip it to masculine energy, I think that there's, I think with men, and we talk about men's needs and women's needs and the mega needs, I think we can all take from those needs, because as women need security, men need security as well. As men need honor and respect, so do women. Yeah. It's vice versa. With men, though, that is a very high need. A number one need is honor and respect. And so, as wives, I think a big thing that we can do, and it's the power of our words. And we talked about this on the live. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. And so the words that we speak can bring, life over our husband, or it can tear them down. And so I think a big part of it, and I don't want to say like feeding their ego, but praising your husband, like, I am so proud of you. Like, when you did that, like, it just made me well up inside. Like, I was so proud of you when you did that. If you see that your husband is struggling, like, hey, you're doing such a good job. I know this is hard. Like giving them that reassurance. As much as women need that, I think men need that too. And I think it's something that really supports their masculine energy and makes them feel like, hey, as the leader and as the husband of my home, like I am doing a great job. And as our wives, the more that we can support our husbands and the more that we speak that over them in that role, I think you will see your husband perform in his role, like the way that God has created him to be. Because like, what we think about them and what we speak about them is so powerful.
Well, and it's who they'll become.
Right.
If you want an amazing spouse, create one. I mean, this is your spouse that God has given you. And as spouses, we have one really big goal is to build them into everything that God has prepared for them and the potential that God sees in them. So my role as your husband is to help you, live in the full potential God has given you. And same thing goes for women to men. And you're absolutely right. Words of encouragement are like, it's like a warm blanket. It's like a shot of adrenaline. All the things that make men feel great are what we hear our wives say to us, because our goal as husbands is to make sure our wives are happy. I don't think women really understand that. Our goal is to make sure you're happy and that you're taken care of. That's really a big need for us. And we don't know all the time that we're doing a great job.
Yeah.
We just don't. And sometimes the consistency of life, the rudder that just goes, morning, afternoon, evening, morning, afternoon, evening, get up, go to work, do all these things. We don't see that and we don't hear that enough. So yes, women, please praise your husbands. Tell them you're proud of them. Send them that text message. But there are also things that husbands can do that are uniquely designed for us to feel more masculine.
Yeah.
Get outside, spend time with nature.
Yeah.
Do the things, working out.
Be with your guy friends.
Be with your guy friends. I love having great guy communities. Guys that are pouring into each other. We're doing guy stuff.
Yeah.
We're playing golf. We're, building something. Whether it's 4 pieces of wood, put it together, it makes something. I don't know why. It makes guys feel good. Cleaning. I know this is weird, but one of my favorite things to do, give me a pressure washer. Let me make something that was not clean.
You were in your pressure washer era.
I'm telling you, you took a picture the other day.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, get your husband a surface cleaner. What that is, for the wives who don't know, it hooks up to a pressure washer. It's a big round thing. It cleans concrete. I don't know why. Super cool. And it's super easy.
Yeah.
These are things that make men feel like they're accomplishing goals.
Yeah.
And it's good for our soul to go and say, let me just be more in my manhood. Go to men's conferences. Get around 4,000 other men who are praising God and doing things that make men feel like men. And it will increase your masculine energy, but also it gives you the freedom to also praise your wife and bring her feminine energy up as well.
Yeah. Well, and this was one of the questions that we had on the live, but it was like, what is unhealthy masculine and feminine energy? And so I just want to touch on these, and you could call it mature, immature.
Yeah.
And so I think for men, mature masculine energy or healthy would be more of they're providing the leadership and the direction. There is stability, clarity in things. For women, it can be that we're discerning and that we use a lot of wisdom, surrender, we're being sensitive, we're being nurturing. I think when you get to the unhealthy masculine energies, it's, for men, it's that it's the power. It's abusive power, avoidance, violence, control. Control was one of the things that we talked about. For women, it can be we're holding on to low self-esteem or, low confidence. We're feeling unworthy. It can be anxiety, confusion, distraction, things like that. And so, understanding what is positive and what is negative those, and then feeding that. And the goal, making the goal be to, how can I positively impact my husband's, masculine energy and help feed that to then help support him and promote him in the role that he's in.
Yeah, I think it's very important. And I want to touch this for a second. Just Toxic masculinity is a thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's very much real. And just because we're able-bodied physically bigger than women doesn't mean that we as leaders lead in unhealthy ways. And that's why when we talk about priorities of life, it's God first, marriage, then our children. We brought up the word submission in our live podcast, and you brought this up because I think women have a hard time being submissive. You won't have a problem being submissive if your husband's following the will of God first. That's the whole key to this, is when your husband is following Christ first and he's seeking Christ as a supplemental advisor to his leadership, women can, with blindfolds on, follow their husbands and feel confident about where they're going. And that may not look the same for every husband.
Yeah.
So comparison is some of those things that women can avoid.
Yeah.
Just because you're seeing something on your reels that says that's what leadership in men look like. That's not necessarily a good thing as you compare your husband, because your husband may not have the gift of preaching.
Yeah.
He may not have the gift of even teaching.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that he can't be in line with God's will. So men seeking God first, seeking the qualities that he says, as a leader, this is what you should do. And then women trusting that process and enabling your husband to live in that full potential. But I'm glad you brought up, because there's a lot of women out there who have had bad experiences with leadership.
Right.
They've had toxic leadership, maybe in an ex-spouse, and they're hesitant. Even though they desire a God-fulfilled marriage, they're hesitant to walk in because of what they've been trained to think about what leadership is.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily what it should be. So if you're in that situation, I would encourage you first, let's have a conversation with your spouse.
Yeah.
Be in that conversation of saying, hey, let's talk about this. Just in the same way I brought it to you. May not have the greatest first reaction, but have a deep conversation about, I want you to feel feminine, and I want you to feel masculine, and I want you to fulfill the way God designed marriage. What are we doing or not doing that is promoting or hurting that?
Yeah.
Be open to that conversation without rejection or criticism. And if you feel like that's definitely an issue, we want you to seek guidance. We want you to seek biblical counseling, saying, hey,
Or coaching.
we may have an issue in this area, so let's go get some help.
Yeah.
And I think those are great first and second steps to just aligning yourself. And again, I'm going to go back to what I said at first. I see a lot of marriages that struggle in a lot of areas that root back to this. This is the root of your problem. She has become the leader, and you have become demasculized, that's not a word, is it? Something close, y'all get it, to your marriage. And what you need to do is put it back in alignment. So guys, if this is an area you struggle in, we want to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you didn't know, you guys, we do have blended family coaching. And if you're needing it for your marriage, your co-parenting situation, litigation, whatever it is, we have coaches that will sit with you and create goals for you and work with whatever it is that you're going through. You know, we see this a lot in marriages. We were just coaching a few couples last week where the priorities were out of alignment and they could not submit to one another and be co-laborers together in their marriage because they were crossing roles and not allowing each other to operate in their masculine and feminine energies.
Yeah.
And so, if this is an issue that you're, suffering with in your marriage, we're here to help you guys. So go to our website and check out BKF Coaching. We'd love to partner with you guys and help you walk through this season. Also, you guys, the Blended Family Conference is coming up October 5th.
Let's go.
Go to our website to check that out. You can join online or in person. We have early bird special ticket pricing right now. Get it at a discount price before it ends. Early bird ends at the end of May.
Yep.
So go to our website and go to our events page and you can sign up there. But we can't wait to see you until next week. Be sure to subscribe to our audio podcast and our YouTube podcast, you guys, so that you can be alerted every time a new podcast drops out. And if this really affected you and blessed you, forward it to somebody. Share it with somebody who may need to hear this message today. But anyways, you guys, we hope you have a blessed day and we will see you next week.
Take care.
Hey friends, so glad you were here with us today, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. You can find more resources from Blended Kingdom Families at blendedkingdomfamilies.com. Join us again next time as we talk about more blended family topics. Be blessed in all that you do, and remember, nothing will be impossible with God.